Good morning, everyone. Welcome to ICF Connecticut. Let me just check our attendees. We have a few people here. We're gonna chat for a minute and let everybody enter the room. I see Richard joined us. I'm glad to see you, Richard. I know that there was concern about getting the right links to all of the webinars, so I'm glad you're here today. Maybe you're all set with our slideshow. Okay, a couple more people are still coming in the room, so we're just going to give it another minute. I'm Monica Leggett. I'm the ICF chapter president, and my co-host is Judy Garfinkel, who is the president-elect. Just another couple months before we switch over our board. And let's see. Well, why don't we get started? By the time we do our introductions, and we'll see if the rest of the people have joined us. We've got a good group rolling in here now. Good morning, everyone. I can't believe this week is here finally, Judy. We've been talking about this since last September, I think. So
preparation.
This is really exciting. This is the first session of the very first International Coaching Week event. So welcome, everyone. Okay, as I said, I am Monica Leggett. I'm the ICF Connecticut chapter president. And I'm really thrilled to start our first International Coaching Week event of the Raise the Bar webinar, 5 themes, 5 days of learning. It's a free series of webinars that brings together individual professional coaches representing a wide variety of coaching specializations as part of International Coaching Week. And this is being celebrated all over the world. I believe there's 140 chapters all around the world. And we're celebrating with the power of professional coaching to positively impact individuals, organizations, communities, and the world. So Connecticut's Raise the Bar webinars will run from today, May 4th, all the way through Friday at noon. And we have a full schedule of offerings, and you can find it on our website, which is ICF-CT.org. So we hope you'll join us for more. And if you know anybody who you think would benefit from this webinar, we're actually going to repeat it Tuesday night at 6 and Thursday morning at 8 a.m. So I'm going to give just a little bit of Zoom housekeeping, and then I'm going to introduce Judy, and then we'll get started. So if you're not familiar with Zoom, which would be pretty amazing considering how many people have been doing Zoom over the last month and a half. You can see at the bottom, you'll see Q&A. If you run your cursor toward the bottom, you'll see Q&A and you'll see chat. And we're going to try to make sure that you use the Q&A for any questions that you have. And you can use the chat box if there's some question that we ask just to, give your opinion about something or an example of something. You can use the chat box for that. And I see Naomi is saying hi in the chat box. Hi Naomi. So what else? We are going to have a few polls, and when the polls come up, you'll have maybe 45 seconds to a minute to just put in your answers, and then we'll go over those. And I think that's about it. Judy, can you think of anything else about Zoom?
Why don't we introduce?
We can't hear you and or see you. We can see who's, the names of people who are here, but this isn't the same as the Zoom meeting platform that we use for our regular meetings. But we're very glad to have you here. And if there's a chance that we end up wanting to bring one of you on to ask a question, then we would unmute you, but we'll let you know through the chat box. So let me introduce Judy, my partner in crime for the last year. So Judy Garfinkel brings over 25 years of experience in professional development, teaching, and personal growth to assisting individuals through career and life transitions. As a career transition, job search, and life coach at Move Into Change, Judy guides clients through the various phases of career transitions. From discovering passions, identifying skills, and assessing motivators to the practicalities of the job search, she excels at recognizing what is essential to clients and customizing resources that support their growth. Clients are drawn to Judy for her easy presence, her smarts, and her thoughtful coaching that comes from the heart. And I get to experience that all the time as my president-elect partner in crime. Judy's going to be presenting on another event with Isabella Isola on Friday. It's called Leveraging Your Strengths for Successful Career Transitions. So that will be really important if that's one of your issues today, then you'll definitely want to join her on Friday at noon. So Judy has a number of credentialing certifications through ICF, which is the International Coaching Federation. She's also a board certified coach and certified focusing professional. And without further ado, hi, Judy.
Hi, thank you, Monica. So this is our president, Monica Leggett. She's a professional certified coach, and she's been working with individuals, couples, and teams for over 12 years on everything from entrepreneur business building to management to life and relationship issues. Sometimes called the goal accelerator and conversation whisperer. Monica's clients learn strategies and tools to gain clarity and motivation to achieve their goals and become leaders in their own lives. So she helps them address things that sometimes they're avoiding, from difficult decisions to difficult conversations. Monica is also the author of a Kindle book on overcoming stress, tension, overwhelm, and procrastination, and will be presenting 2 other webinars this week, one on conflict resolution and relationship building tonight at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And one that offers 5 steps to overcome stress and regain control on Wednesday, also at 6 p.m. So be sure to check those out if you are interested or experiencing any of those things in your life right now. So please welcome Monica Leggett.
Thank you. And so we wanted to be really professional and have these banners in the background, but it's doing weird things to my head. So I'm going to turn that off. Nothing like a little vanity, right? I get to show off my nice bookcase.
So today, here's
today.
what we're going to cover. We're going to talk about what is and isn't coaching. What does a coach actually do? Types of coaching, what to expect in a coaching relationship or from a coach, and some hiring tips.
All right. So we're going to start with a poll, and we want to know if you could wave a magic wand and improve or expand certain areas of your life, which ones would you choose? And this might be something you'd hear with the beginning of a coaching relationship. What areas of your life? Now, there are quite a few, so you can scroll down. You can pick up to 3 and start selecting now. When you've picked your 1, 2, or 3, and then you hit submit, and we'll see what people are really interested in. We've got about 20 more seconds. All right, we're seeing those answers pulling in.
Yeah, here they come. This is great.
All right, I'm going to end the polling. Ready, set, last chance, hit submit. Okay, let's share the results here. So the number 1 answer was career or business. Very cool, that's 60%. And then there are quite a few others. Professional leadership development, personal development, relationships. Yeah, relationships are getting quite tested right now, right, Judy?
Yes.
Nothing like
hearing that from all,
with the people you love.
Hearing that from all my clients, as well as just the career space, also very much being tested right now.
Yeah. It's hard to balance all that work and sharing space and other responsibilities with families and caring for your loved ones. Okay, I'm going to let me just.
So if these are, you probably know more specifically about what about these areas is really in your heart about what you're wanting to shift or change or where your issue might be. But if any of these things feel like you would like that there's that a relationship with another person who has some expertise would be beneficial to you, then then coaching could be for you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to go over the poll anymore, Monica?
No, I think we'll it'll just guide us toward maybe some examples we want to use today.
Yeah.
All right.
So what we're seeing in your answers are these sort of 4 areas that are listed here on the slide. Most of us, even when we're doing well in our lives, there's often a wanting more, kind of sensing that there's something untapped or unrealized in ourselves, or maybe we've reached a different phase in our lives, or the coronavirus has affected us in some way where we are wanting to re-examine and reconnect to a purpose or a purpose in a new way. Sometimes people come to coaching because they have recurring stuck places, something that they want to change, but their strategies haven't been working so far. Or sometimes there's just a knowing what the change is, but not sure how to go about making the change. So really a lot of this is about where are you in the change process? You might be contemplating some change, or you might be in it and stuck in some way, or really just sensing something needs to be explored. No matter what, coaching could be for you.
That's right. So let's talk about what is and what isn't coaching. Let's hit the next slide there, Judy. First we want to know if you could define coaching, and maybe you know nothing about coaching, so this will be a big guess, but put in the chat box, take a moment to answer this for yourself. What do you think coaching is? And you could share that with us in the chat box. A lot of people aren't sure exactly what coaching is. They might confuse it with therapy or consulting or mentoring or a number of different things.
Yeah, or if you've experienced coaching, you might have a really clear idea from your experience about what it was or is for you.
So one definition was helping to guide others in the career. So kind of a guide. It's a possibility. All right. Let's see, a focused conversation with a purpose, a process that helps you achieve your goals. Very good. All right. Well, let's see, Judy, now ICF, International Coaching Federation, defines coaching as partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their potential and maximize their personal and professional potential. And it's very client-driven. So we, as a coach, don't have the agenda. We ask the client what their agenda is, and we focus based on that. It is about focusing on their goals, creating the outcomes that they want, and managing their personal change. Sometimes you find that we might have, the client might have limiting beliefs or different, makes certain assumptions about things, or avoid certain things, or you get to know what their strengths are and what their gaps or Achilles heels might be, and work your way around that. But it really is a true partnership between the coach and the client. And I know a number of coaches kind of describe it as you're sitting alongside them, not across, but alongside your client, and your issues or your outcomes that you want are out front. We're both looking at it together. So the coach's role is to help discover, clarify, and align with what the client wants to achieve. And that's really where the opening conversations are. What do you really want to have happen in the next 6 months or year or 5 years down the road? What are you working toward? And we encourage the client self-discovery. We elicit client-generated solutions and strategies. So it's not about us coming up with their solutions. It's really about figuring out what they want and what their possible solutions are. And when you're really stuck, your mind is not always thinking of possibilities. But when you're brainstorming with another person and you're shifting your perspective a bit, it really does help find those solutions. And then we hold the client responsible and accountable. So, it might be, what are your intentions between now and the next time I see you? And how do you want to let me know that you've achieved those or whatever? We talked about this, Judy. We love to get text messages from our clients to say, I did it. I, sent that thing off, or I've made that list, or I, whatever the goal might be.
Yep. I'm going to turn this, we're going to turn into, because a lot of questions sometimes come to me in my first interviews with people who have not had any experience with coaching. There's a lot of questions about what coaching isn't, or is it therapy? Is it like athletic coaching? Is it advising? So one of the big ones is it therapy? And so there's a lot of talk about, in a lot of ways, coaches describe the difference between therapy and coaching. And one of the ways I like to talk about it is that therapy is diagnostic based. It's about looking for what's wrong and giving it a name, and then healing or working with a therapist to work through those issues, normally by going back into your past. Coaches don't look at people as a problem. They look at people as fully capable of accessing inside themselves through the things that we just said before, through the way the coach works with you, to find what's in you to be able to find your own solutions. It's very much present and forward thinking. That isn't to say that emotions are out of the questions, because as we know, we're full human beings and we're emotionally driven and thought driven. So we will be working with a whole emotional life, but not in the sense of going back to the past to heal old wounds. Although I have had the clients say to me, though, that coaching isn't therapy, but there is a therapeutic result that sometimes happens. There's some kind of a change that happens.
Right, that shift.
That shifts, right? Which therapeutic could be a weird word, so we want to stay away from it, but we know what that means. We've all had that experience. And then the other is, there's athletic coaches out there, right? When I told Monica the story the other day, that when I first heard about coaching, before I knew anything about it at all, I'd heard about this thing called coaching. And what came to mind was Coach Lawson. Someone said to me, you should be a coach. And what came to mind was Coach Lawson from elementary school, who walked around with a whistle, called every female in the room, in the building, toots. Yeah. And, it's like turning to people and saying, give me 20. And I was so like, no, I don't want to be that. So athletic coaches have a wonderful a place in the world. They look at a skill, they look at a technical skill, they give advice. Change your golf grip, breathe differently when you hit the serve. These are all wonderful ways to help people, but that's not what ICF trained coaches do. We bring other things to the party. So what else is it not, Monica?
So it's not advising, consulting, or directing. Those three have, what's in common for all of those is about you're helping them come up with the answers. You're coming from an area of expertise and you're saying, well, this feels like the next thing to do, or based on my vast experience in this area, I would advise blah, blah, blah. So there are quite a few coaches who come in with an area of expertise, as you do, Judy, and myself. So you're a consultant in the career area, but you're also a coach. There's a very different feel for when you're doing one or the other. A bunch of us will kind of use that thing. Well, okay, if I have my advising cap on right now, or my consulting cap on, it looks like this, as opposed to what feels like the next step for you, like a big open question as a coach. So the magic of coaching, there are a lot of definitions of coaching, or they'll say you start with outcomes or the goal that you want, and then you do this, and then you do that. But it kind of leaves out what the magic of coaching is, which is really where you're partnering with them to help them find their answers. And it's asking them what they think they could do to solve the issue. And you don't necessarily say, well, what are you going to do to solve that issue? you ask certain questions or you have them explore different things to sort of shift their perspective, look at things from another way, what else is possible. It's very open-ended. So clients grow self-awareness and they find their own answers. It really is magical. You know, I could prepare for my coaching session with my own coach and think of what the issue is and try to solve it myself. And sometimes I can, and sometimes I just get stuck. And then the magic of coaching is when I'm just talking to my coach and other things just come up. I don't know about you, for you, Judy.
Well, yes. And one of the things there's a few things about that magic. One is that the coach doesn't have an agenda the way a parent or a best friend or a spouse or whatever might have. The coach's agenda is for you to achieve the thing that you want to achieve. Mm-hmm. And so even though all those other people love us and care for us and have sometimes some good ideas for us, they also have feelings about some of the choices we might make or feel they want to direct us in a certain way. Yeah. And what's wonderful about a coaching relationship is it has that purity of I consider it, I say to my clients, I'm your champion in the kind of knight of shining armor sense of I'm going to stand there and be your champion. Yeah. Not that I'm going to save anybody, but in the sense of I'm there for you and what you want, not with an idea about what you should do, and no fear about what choices you might be making. Right. The other thing that for those of us who like vinyl records or remember vinyl records, sometimes people come to coaching because they're in the skip place on the record. They've asked themselves the same questions and they get the same answers and it just keeps skipping. And what the magic of coaching is you've got this person who's listening to what you're saying and to what you're not saying and asking questions that can move the needle. And so that's another piece of the magic. I like to say also that when clients say to me, so what's it like? I say, well, I feel like I'm the banks of the river and you're the river. So I'm I'm creating a framework for the process, but you're the flow, you're the river, you're making the movement.
Right. So I found this quote by Albert Einstein. If I have an hour to solve a problem, I spend 55 minutes studying the problem and 5 minutes solving it. And the 55 minutes to me represents the coaching session, because by the end of it, you've got a real clear intention, you've got a real framework for what you're going to do next, and then you just go do it, right? But it's that 55 minutes of magic that really makes the difference.
Right, and when we say magic, it really isn't magic, but it feels like magic.
That's right.
It's not really magic. It's based on a process that's tried and true, that's been around for a long time. We've all been trained in frameworks that hold the client and move them through the process. And many of us, and we work with the person in front of us. So we're not waving any magic wands. We're not, no potions.
Yeah. We're going to talk about it later, but there really is actual training to do what we do, I know I did 2 different 130-hour programs, not to mention all the other things on top of that, extra certifications and stuff. I'm sure Judy has a similar situation. So I forget who's supposed to do this slide. Typical reasons. Oh, I think it's me. Typical reasons for coaching. Yeah, so you can see that the ranges were on this list here, 32% all the way to 43%. So it's not a huge wide range, but these are all possible reasons that people might come for coaching. The top reasons, according to ICF study. So optimizing individual or teamwork performance. Performance is a big one. Coaching in organizations has really blossomed in the last 10 years. Improving communication skills. I do that with my couples that I coach. I do it with individuals who have, as I call myself, the conversation whisperer, helping them to improve their communication with the people around them. Increasing productivity, expanding career opportunities, increasing self-esteem and self-confidence. Judy, you mentioned about being a champion for your clients. We also help our clients become champions for themselves. There's a really big growth I see in a lot of my clients in their self-confidence, and their self-assurance, and posture changes as I'm saying that,
So one of the things that we talked about when we were planning this was that a lot of this overlaps, right? A lot of these areas, people might say, this research is from ICF Global, by the way, the International Coaching Federation. This is their statistics. But a lot of this is overlapping. So when you're working with someone, for example, in career coaching, we're also working on communication skills. We're also, a side effect, as I like to call it, a positive side effect of just about any kind of coaching, if you're in a good coaching situation, is increased self-confidence, right? You're getting more agency, you're making changes in your life, you're increasing your self-confidence. Sometimes we coach directly towards that, and sometimes it's a positive side effect. So there's a lot of overlapping here, particularly in what people used to call the soft skills, because they transfer everywhere.
Yeah. The way you do one thing tends to be the way you do everything. And if you can just make that little shift, it shifts everywhere, and it makes a big difference. So, so obviously life and work-life balance is key right now, where you may or may not have kids at home, but I know I'm sharing space with my husband. We've had to redesign our alliance for how we're going to be at home. And so types of coaching. There are a number of, and it seems like more and more different niches come up all the time. And many of them overlap. I know, Judy, you do life coaching as well as career transition coaching, a number of things. So there are several main specialties, if you will, according to the coaching survey. Leadership coaching is a really big one, executive coaching, business and organizations, but then life vision and enhancement, which is kind of where coaching started, but it has kind of taken a backseat to the business coaching.
Well, the business world really recognized the value in expanding possibilities and potential in people, right?
Right. Yeah, so there's a number of organizations that hire coaches to work with their staff in-house, and then other coaches who work as an outside source. So there are just so many niches, but if there's anything specific that you're looking for, it doesn't mean that you have to find someone who only coaches that niche either. And I don't know about you, Judy, but I know I always have my clients think of at least 2 or 3 main goals, and that one could be about business, career, one could be about life, one could be about health, so it could be I call myself more of a holistic coach, covering, because again, the way you do one thing might be the way you're doing everything. And it's just learning those little bit of life lessons and taking those little tweaks that make the difference.
Yes. And we know from some of us who have made changes in our lives, whether we used a coach or not, that a change in one area of life will often jumpstart a change in another area of life.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I went the wrong direction.
No.
There we go. Sorry. I've got a very sensitive keyboard here. So maybe you want to make a decision to work with or partner with a coach. What does that entail if you're going to make that decision? So the decision involves an investment in yourself, and an investment in yourself, because you are definitely worth it, is often financial, right? You're going to find someone and they have a skill set that you're going to pay for. And what that is varies vastly by region, by specialty, by individual coach, in terms of their training, their ability, their coaching clientele, their niche, all of it. So, but there will be a financial commitment. And then there's a commitment to time and time and energy, right? You have a structure that you work with your coach with, and that's different with every coach. I know that I have a typical structure, but I also have people with whom, when we have a conversation, that structure needs to shift based on their needs and something that I feel I can bring them if we make that structure change. But there'll be appointments, there'll be varying lengths of appointments. There will often be commitments that the client make in between, whether it's to try something new or to read something or to act on something. So that happens in between. And there's really a knowing that you're ready to make that commitment. And that's a motivating, energetic space that people get to where they're like, yes, I'm going to commit to this, and I'm going to let my coach partner with me to keep the commitment flowing. But I have to bring my commitment to it. And people get results from this investment, right? Clients shift career in my space. Clients find new careers where they didn't know that there was a new career, or they find a job through that they've been wanting, or they have the confidence to be in an interview in a way that they never have, which then allows them to land a job that they really, really want. And I know, Monica, you have successes in relationships that families that were in conflict that are no longer in conflict or have a new way of being together.
Right, which is really priceless. But I also work with a lot of home-based entrepreneurs as well. And so, I've had clients who, there might be one area that they've, sort of income stream, and now they're creating a second or a third, or they're balancing things, or they're offering more, they're bringing in more clients. So when I'm working with an entrepreneur, I can absolutely see return on investment as they increase their income.
Yes, and in our chapter, we have all kinds of coaches. So we might have a health coach, which helps someone change their entire way they approach their eating because they have a health issue. Or we might have someone who's working at the executive level externally, and they're helping someone reach their potential as a leader. So there's a lot of success stories out there. We can only speak to our own at the moment, but there are many ways that investment pays off for people, and that's the beauty of coaching.
Yeah. So what to expect? Were you going to do this, Judy, or me?
I was, but you can take it if you want. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So they're structured often to a coaching session and to a coaching agreement. So you can expect that after you discuss what you're looking for with a coach and you decide to work with that coach, there'll probably be some kind of verbal or written coaching agreement, or both most likely, which allows you to be really clear about what you've agreed to. There might be some assessments. I know that I have a lot of assessments that I work with clients, but not with every client. Not every client needs that assessment, an assessment, or at that particular assessment. There could be some pre-work, some questionnaires you might need to fill out so that you can hit the ground running with your coach, and not spend too much time with answering those questions in person. And your coach comes into the session sort of knowing more about you. And in the sessions, there will also be an agreement about what you're wanting to work on that day, but there'll be an emphasis on questions that will empower you in different ways. One would be to notice what the issue is, or what the issue under the issue is, or what you thought the issue is, but maybe now you're going to think about it a little differently, or so you'll notice the way you're looking at it differently. Or you might be in a brainstorming place where you're, spitballing ideas, and your coach may join you in that, but encourage you to start it on your own. Or you may be choosing options from some choices that you had already brainstormed. And then you will be looking for, how am I going to put those into action? There'll usually be some kind of question from your coach around, so now that you've said that you're interested in that, what would you like to do about it? And how would that look? And when would you like to do that? So there's some accountability to taking the next steps. You'll hear that a lot in coaching. What are the next steps? And the accountability place I also love, because there's, in the magic of coaching, there, as we were talking about before, Monica, there's this wonderful place where something about knowing that you have someone championing you already is motivating for accountability.
Yeah. And so many of us will do things for others, but we won't do it for ourselves. And what I find with coaching is now they're doing it for me. How many times, Judy, has a client come to you and said, I just got done what I said I was going to do 2 weeks ago, but I had to get it done before I met with you.
Right. And then what happens after that is a realizing that they can do that on their own.
Yeah.
But there's something, I mean, those of you who exercise with a buddy or go walking with a buddy, you know, people know that there's this synergy that happens in a relationship. And when it's a coaching relationship, it has a very powerful synergy.
Yeah. 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 So now what do you think? I know we asked you to sort of think in your mind what coaching is, but how would you, what are you seeing now? And you can put it in the chat box if you want. And if you have any questions, please put those in the Q&A box. I don't know if any questions have come up for you yet. I had one other definition here. Coaching is an alliance between individuals that has a particular intent or agenda that is set by the client. Thank you, Vivian.
Thank you, Vivian.
Anything else coming up for you? What is coaching? How would you like to define coaching now? Sue says, designed alliance to help you achieve your goals. Absolutely. Absolutely. So the very best way to know what coaching is to experience coaching for yourself. We often like to work in metaphors. So I like to say coaching is like picking the self-help book that you need the most right now. Like you get to design what that book title is and what chapters might be in there, and then having the author help you walk through it. It's like you get to design what you want that help in. So many of us buy a self-help book and then we don't even read it. Or we read the first chapter and then we stop or whatever. Or we read it and we don't really get it. It's when you work through it, like if you've ever done even a book club and you've really dug into a book with other people and you start having conversations about it, and it really explains more.
Right, so that the book can talk back to you and work you through where you decide you want to put it down and not do it.
Yeah. Oh, is that what you meant by that? Okay, that's cool. Or having those little questions at the end of the chapter, like, what'd you get out of this chapter? Yeah.
Yeah, so coaching is all of those things. And if you're thinking about hiring a coach, here are some quick tips. We want to get to questions and answers, so we're going to kind of go through this a little bit more quickly, right?
Yes.
There's some questions you can ask a coach about their experience, about their training, a specialty, what are their clients, what kind of certifications or do you have, or what's your coaching philosophy, and what are your success stories? Like we mentioned some general success stories today, but if you are looking in a particular niche, you might want to hear, so how has that looked for some people? And one of the things you also want to ask is, are you a member of ICF or do you have an ICF credential? And why is that important, Monica?
Oh my gosh, because there are a lot of people who put out a shingle that says, I'm a coach, but they're not really a coach. They have no coach specific training. They think they know what coaching is. Maybe they had a coach at one time. Maybe they're an expert in something and decide they want to, start their own business. So they call themselves a coach. And ICF has a very specific coach credentialing process, written exam, verbal exam, ethics. There's a lot of different things that we go through to get our credential. And so we do have ICF Global has a coach credential.
Sorry.
And then, there it is.
Sorry.
You can go to credentialcoachfinder.com, which is the ICF Global site, or you can go right to our website. If you're looking for someone here in Connecticut, go to ICF-CT.org. And then under the opportunities tab, you'll see find a coach. And you can put in a specialty niche. You can see there.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah. I looked up a couple. There was anything from ADHD, aging, career, conflict resolution, stress management, leadership. There's a whole bunch of categories, career transition. And the activities are just, are they an external coach, like hiring, an internal coach means that they work in a company, but an external coach means that they work with individuals who can hire them.
So anybody can come from outside to the ICF-Connecticut.org and look for a coach that's registered here.
Yeah, and obviously right now most of us are doing virtual, either by phone or by Zoom or something like that. So what is ICF? So ICF Global started 25 years ago, which is why the logo has ICF 25 on it. They're the pioneer in the development of global standards for professional coaching, core competencies, ethics, and industry research. Every year they have a huge poll that goes out with different themes each year, and they're always tracking what's important, what trends, what's needed, and it's our parent organization, if you will, and they support us. They are a really wonderful organization. So they have independent credentialing. They will accredit programs so that if you go through an ICF accredited coaching program, you're coming out, you've got a good coach training. So ICF is a huge organization around the world, 140 chapters. And here in Connecticut, we have 192 members as of April 2020. We have 110 of them have credentialed. They are certified coaches. 110 of them also have an additional credential. And and this week is International Coaching Week.
May I ask Monica, it came up in the chat that Richard is asking about the poll results. He's saying, can you see the poll results?
The original, let me share them again. Can you see them now? Richard, if you can see the results, let me know. Because according to my box, it says it's sharing.
Yeah, I can see them as well. So I just want to make sure everybody can see them. Right.
So basically it was 60% were interested in career or business. And then we had 30% were organizational productivity, professional leadership, personal development, relationships. 20% said team management, 10% said life balance, 20% said finances, and 20% said metaphysical well-being. So no one took my joke about coronavirus sense of humor. I was waiting whether to add that in there. Richard was asking about the ICF annual poll results. So there was a poll last year, and it just completed in mid-December. It won't be out until the end of this year. It takes a long time to compile it. But if you do go to coachfederation.org, and there are other studies you can see from past years on there. And if you can't find anything, you can always reach out to one of us. You can email president@icf-ct.org and ask your question. And I think I have your email, Richard, so I'll make a note of that. So are there any questions? I haven't seen anything in the Q&A box yet. How are we doing on time? We've got a few more minutes.
We've got about 15 minutes. We left a nice bit of time for sharing. If you have questions, or maybe you want to write something in the chat box about a positive experience you've had with coaching, or a question you have about how a coach might help you with a particular issue. No one can see the questions except for the panelists. So if you don't want us to use your name, we certainly can do it that way. So one of the things that's wonderful about being a coach is being a positive enabler. And so what that means is, yes, there's a question about whether we can see people.
Yeah.
We can't. We can only see that you're here and your name, and only the panelists can see that that's me and Monica. No one else can see that. So
you could all be in your jammies.
Yeah, you could all. The hair could be just a mess, and you could be holding your coffee cup, and your cat could be walking across your keyboard. We wouldn't see it at all. But there's, when people are looking for change, whether it's a career transition change, or a relationship change, or a change in the way they approach their work or their business, or the way that they are in the world. Sometimes people come and they're like, I keep seeing this everywhere I go. Like, I need to shift something, and I don't know how to shift it alone. Those are places where coaching and a moment with a coach can unlock a way of thinking. I can't, you must have had this experience, Monica, where you're working with a client and you ask a question, an open-ended question like, so what's your proof of that? Or where are you finding that elsewhere in your life? Or any kind of a what or a how question. And the person says, oh, you're right. And I haven't said anything other than ask them a question. And inside themselves, they come up with an answer they think I offered.
Right.
Which is just awesome, because it's this internal process that is like, I hear that myself in a new way. Whether it's about, I can tell a story about a client who came to me looking for a career change, and he didn't know what it was. And he had this wonderful career that he had been very successful in. He had a PhD in it, but he was now dissatisfied. It had been 10 years and he didn't want to stay in this field. And as we were uncovering and we were doing all kinds of self-discovery, and things were, elements of what he wanted were piling up. And then in an offhand moment, when I asked him a question, which I don't remember what it was now, he said, I secretly always wanted to be a therapist. And so that's the moment where you hear like the ding, 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 ding as a coach. And then, so what's in the way of doing that? And then we were off, and he's now in his 4th year of therapy training.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I can tell a quick story about why I even became a coach. My sister was a trainer, still is, and I went to the first class for free. It was a fun weekend. It was actually my birthday weekend, and I got to see what coaching was all about. And my husband and I had literally been looking at houses for probably 4 years. Almost every weekend we were going to open houses. I didn't really want to move. He did. So talk about long-term on the fence. And in 20 minutes with a completely novice coach, I went from moving is way too hard. It's too much work on me. I've got a dog. I've got 3 kids. I'm working. How can I possibly put my house on the market? I love my new kitchen. I don't want to move. To, okay, if I had a plan, what would it look like? Well, I want to know what my house is worth, what else is out there. And I had to shift my mind about, okay, so you put stuff in boxes, but if the new house is worth it, then it'll be worth it, right? So within a month, we had the house on the market. A month later, we sold it. And a month later, we moved in. And I love where I live. It's a totally different place. And it just showed me the power of shifting my perspective, because that's so much of it is, this is too hard to, well, what else possible?
Yeah. You reminded me of a woman who was aware that she needed to be divorcing her husband, but had been waiting 2 years. And when she came to me, she said, it feels like everything I need to do is tangled up like a ball of yarn in my head, and I can't figure out where to start. So your story reminds me, because a lot of it was like, let's get it all out. Like, what would you she was completely sure that this was what she needed to do. So it wasn't about making the decision to get divorced.
Yeah.
It was how now?
How? Yeah. Clarity is one of those, there's so many C words, confidence, clarity, compassion, whatever. And clarity for me helps me get into action. When I don't have clarity, yeah, are you reading the note?
I am. Yeah.
Question. So while you were in the process of coaching a client, do you ever have personal experiences or self-awareness or inspiration that surprised you?
Great question, Vivian.
Yeah.
So yes, and often a client will present me with an issue that I will spend some time with and go on my own with, how does this resonate in me as a coach, right? Or me as a human, and have a space for myself. Sometimes we are presented with things that we also have some coaching ourselves or work with our own coach on. So yes, and inspiration, oh my gosh. I had this woman come to me also coincidentally in the throes of a divorce. She had left her career, stayed home with a very wealthy husband who she ran the house. She had been an engineer, and she had been dumped basically for the secretary, like the classic story. 3 children. She was furious And I actually, when I took her on, I thought to myself, she was really relatively new in my coaching life. So I was like, this is going to be a real challenge. She turned out how to be the most exciting client I ever had. She took everything in. She shifted, she changed, she acted, she found her way. She was so inspiring in the midst of this fury she was in. She was able to hold on to me sort of as ballast and go. It was so inspiring.
Right. Right. And she could have gone a year of victimhood and just fuming. And, you know, when we get into these really difficult, stuck places, you know.
Richard's got another question.
And she just shifted into something really.
She did. And we see that a lot in our clients. This was a powerful one because she was so angry. I wasn't sure if she'd be able to get past it. How do you respond when a client asks you to redo the resume for them? Oh, what a great question.
Perfect for you, Judy.
Well, it depends. We have a conversation first about what their career goals are. And if they've got no clarity around what their career goals are and no direction for their resume, we start there. And we have a talk about, like, we need to do the foundational work here. If they do know that and they want me to do their resume, we have a conversation about how I like to do resumes, which is most often, unless I'm ghostwriting for somebody, which I do on the side, with my own clients, it's a collaborative process because a lot of it, side effect wise, a lot of it is about we get some clarity about who we really are, what our value is, what we're confident. We get all kinds of information about how they want to talk about themselves in interviews. It's a very rich process if we allow it to be. But if it's just, fix my resume, it's not a rich process and there's no coaching involved. And I can do that on the side, but I much prefer the deeper conversation, really working with the client around who they are, what they have to offer. If they come in without knowing why they want their resume changed, that's a career transition conversation, a career clarification conversation, and some coaching around that is absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
That answer your question? Yes, he says.
Yeah, you put thank you. So I think so. That's good. And you know what that reminded me of? Years ago, I set up my website while I was still in coaching school 13 years ago. And I can't believe it's been that long. And I don't know, about 5-6 years ago, I wanted to kind of redo it, modernize it, but I didn't want somebody who would just do it. I found someone, she actually came and spoke to our chapter, and she was a trained coach. And part of her process was to take me through a process to make sure that what my website became was really going to be a reflection of me and what I wanted to do with my coaching. So I hired her because she was a coach, and that just, it reminded me of what you just said.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have some questions in the Q&A, so I want to call your attention to that. Yep. So one anonymous question is, what was one of your most challenging coaching assignments and how did you address it and help your client achieve their goals? Do you want to take that, Monica?
Well, I will have to say that I actually had to fire a client because she, number one, was not doing any of the work. She basically wanted to come and just ask me a gazillion questions and wanted some answers and wanted affirmation that everything she was doing was right. And I'm not in a place to judge or, pat somebody on the back. I'm there to help them grow. And if the whole world is crumbling around them and they're not doing anything different, then the world is going to still keep crumbling around them. You know what I mean? So that was really difficult because I don't like to give up on anybody. And I repeatedly had to ask for her to show up differently, but she continually did not show up differently. I don't know how else to say it. That was really hard for me.
So yeah, I'll give I want to get to the next two other questions, so I'm going to answer this quickly. I had a client very early, also actually not that early, who came to me because she was recommended by a close friend of mine, and she was struggling with her. She was a direct report to the head of this large not-for-profit organization, and she was really having a hard time, and she thought she was going to lose her job. It looked like her boss was going to, was making a case to kind of phase her out, but she was really good at her job. And she was really adamant that it was her higher up's responsibility to see her worth and not her responsibility to communicate it in a way that her higher up could see her. So a lot of the work that we did was around working through her beliefs about that, about what it would mean to communicate differently and what she thought she had to lose by that and what she was not willing to risk to gain. And that was a really interesting process. And within that process, she was tasked to come up with a mission for her department. And she's a very kind of task-oriented, non-vision type thinker. So I had to dig into kind of my teaching tools. I was trained originally as a teacher, an educator, to come up with questions to ask her that would actually move her from task to vision, because she couldn't start in the visioning place. And I walked her through a whole, I just like in the moment, intuitively found ways to ask her questions that drew it out. And she actually was highlighted as on the retreat for her, the best vision. Statement. And part of that was then asking her to figure out how to write the statement so that her boss could understand what she meant. And it was a really powerful process. It didn't have to, and it became a career transition in a way because she stayed at her job.
Wow.
which was her goal, which was to answer, Naomi's asking, what are the main reasons clients come to you, and does that shift in the process?
Yeah.
So what would you say to that, Monica? What might you add to that?
Well, recently I had a client who planned on moving and starting a business in a new state, new location. And between our intake and our first session, she and her husband both are therapists, and the shift became, he was going to launch his business and she was going to continue as a counselor or therapist within a school system, a private school, public school. So it did shift only because her circumstances shifted, but then we still were able to do some of her original goal, but everything shifted. But she still has, had really, I think, powerful coaching sessions. Even in the fly, everything kind of changed.
Everything, sometimes it changes because a reason the person comes to you is often the surface reason that there is sometimes underlying, like losing weight. Sometimes people come and they say, I want to lose weight. I don't work with a lot of people like that don't come to me for that, but what's underlying it is how I want to feel about myself in the world, how I want to feel in my body in the world, which is really different than I need to lose 10 pounds. Yeah. So that's an example of that.
I even had a client lose weight. That wasn't one of her goals, but her, she'd had an after 40-year-old child. It was like, well, before the baby, I was going to be doing, before the baby I was going to do this. And once she got her mindset around where life was, she was accepting reality for where it was and what she wanted to be doing. Everything, she started exercising more, eating better. She's like, oh, by the way, I lost 15 pounds in the last month. I was like, whoa. It's like she was happier with herself. She wasn't eating her emotions and stuff.
Yeah, and Richard is asking, it's side effects, right? Positive side effects. Richard is asking what the top challenges are in coaching. There are many different challenges. There are the challenges of personal growth as a coach that come from working with clients that challenge us. That also comes from new training, like wanting to train in different areas to get more expertise. There's the challenge of running a business and creating a way to bring clients in and market oneself. There's the challenge of being able to, I think Monica mentioned letting a client go. There's the challenge of knowing when you can help someone and when you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of walking that line, whether it's in the intake process or later down the road.
Yeah.
There's the challenges, which is why ICF Connecticut is so important to me. Is there's the challenge of if I'm a solopreneur, so it can get lonely. So having a cohort of people to work with and explore with and do this with is a great way to meet that challenge. Monica, can you think of any other challenges?
You listed a lot of the good ones. Actually, one thing that comes up for a lot of entrepreneurs is the challenge of what to charge.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who join the coaching business because they love helping people. And then they feel funny charging money for it. More they're enjoying it, the harder it feels to to charge. But that's an issue. We all have our own limiting beliefs about ourselves. I'm not worth it, or
which is also why part of the ICF credentialing process is to often work with a mentor coach, so that we can also enhance our own understanding of our skills and the challenges that we need.
Yeah.
So Monica, I'm looking at the time. We're a little past.
I know
time.
It's 2 minutes after. Let's do the closing, and then we'll and then we can stay on if anybody else has any questions.
Yeah.
Okay. There wasn't a whole lot to say other than thank you all for attending today. This was great. We want you to know that ICF Connecticut is a resource for finding coaches. We have programs every month. They may or may not, they are geared for coaches, but if you're an entrepreneur, maybe some of our events are also something that you would want to attend. This week-long extravaganza is only beginning. So we have an 8 a.m., a noon, and a 6 p.m. program every day this week. So Wednesday morning is more of just a gathering of coaches, Coach Cafe. And so don't forget to check the Coaching Week page, ICF-CT.org, for more events. I'm presenting tonight on conflict is like a campfire, don't be the kindling, which is really all about how you're treating yourself and others through the way of thinking. Our mindset is a lot of things. And then I have a whole toxins and antidotes of relationships, understanding which you might be defaulting to and what you want to choose instead.
Which in this day of being sequestered could be really helpful for a lot of us who are negotiating. Some sparks flying in different ways lately.
Right. Redesigning how you want to do things a little bit different. So we're gonna have some fun. I have a little animation to my PowerPoint. It's a lot of fun. Wednesday I'm doing one on stress management, and I know Friday you're doing yours on leveraging your strengths for career transitions.
Right, and if Richard's still on, there will be, we'll be talking a lot about the process of using your strengths and the way of thinking about your superpowers to move you through making a career transition, and useful in various stages of your career transition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll be hosting that with you guys. So and I've seen the run through. It was really good. So I hope all of you attend that. Whether you're looking for a new job or not, I think it was really good. These are on the screen. If you see, there's ways to contact us. So Judy's email address is judy@moveintochange.com. And my email is monica@newstepslifecoaching.com. And then obviously the ICF Connecticut website, ICF-CT.org.
And if you are looking, you will be getting an email from us saying thank you for coming, and with a link to a recording, as well as a survey, which really helps us hone what we offer people. So they're really offering what people feel they need and want, because that will be what helps people more than anything. So please let us know what it is you would like to see, or what you've been hearing maybe from people around you, what you think they might like to see. And that would be really helpful to us. Thank you.
Yeah. And so we do have a lot going on this week. So our virtual assistant's going to be kind of going crazy. So just be patient. Within a couple of days, you'll get that recording.
Yeah, it won't be right away. It won't be today.
Yeah. So thanks everyone for attending. I don't know if there are any new questions. Has anything else come in?
I haven't seen anything, but I'll check again.
Okay. Last
No.
chance for any questions, comments.
If you want to stay on, write in the chat box that you'd like to stay on, and then Monica and I will stay here and we can unmute you if there's something you want to talk about.
Yep. So I feel like I'm doing romper room. I see Tom, I see Vivian, I see Richard and Naomi, Natasha, Megan. Does anybody remember romper room?
Yes. Happy birthday, Timmy.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're done. So thank you all for coming, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you in future events.
Thank you for coming. I enjoyed, and thank you, Monica.
Thank you, Judy. This was fun. We get to do it all over again.
Yep.
Tuesday. All right.
Bye.